What up, y'all? It's me, the greatest carpenter my dog has ever seen. Last week I impressed you with my incredible stool. The week before I impressed you with my incredible door. And this week I'm going to impress you with an incredible box or chest. Something that opens and closes. The bar's low. So the last three projects, I've tried to get them done relatively fast, getting them done within the same day I started or within the same weekend. This week I thought I would do things different. It's only Tuesday. I got a few days. I might have to go out of town later this week, but my goal is to space out the project over the course of the week because one of my problems is patience, and especially when it comes to letting glue dry, you need to let it dry long enough to hold. Evidently with my last project, I did not. First project, I used more nails than both projects. I used more nails than I can count. So my goal this time is to do things differently. And again, I would like to avoid the nail gun as much as I love using it and try to use wood glue, or I'd like to use other techniques in carpentry. Like someone commented about different, I forget the term, how to cut the wood so that you can almost put it together like Lego pieces to hold it together. I think with a box or a chest, that could be pretty cool. I do have extra hinges, so I could make the door on the chest open as well. All right, so first things first, let's start with the blueprints. Now, if only I had somewhere to sit down. If only someone had created an incredible stool that could hold my body weight. Wait a minute. Would you look at this? A stool that I can sit on. A place to hold my body weight and rest my legs. What an incredible invention. And what a well done job by the carpenter who made it. I wonder who that was. Okay, we're gonna hop into the blueprints. I thought I would start with just the top of the chest. To me, that's going to be the most important piece that I want. I am actually, again, going to try to make it look somewhat good. I watched a video of a guy on YouTube creating a cutting board, and he had either different stained wood or different colored types of wood, and he glued them in a way where it was really satisfying that it had a design. I think I could pull that off. I got a few different stains. I got lacquer, and I've got polyurethane. I don't really know what to use or what order to do it in. I'm guessing I do the stain first, and then I'm gonna do the polyurethane, and I think the lacquer and the polyurethane are similar. You can tell me below if I'm wrong, or I'll find out when I do it if I'm wrong. I realize I could Google it, but I think part of the fun is trial and error. So there's a lot of trial and a whole lot of error in what I'm gonna do. Starting point, let's get a marker. So for right now, all I'm focused on is the top of the box. And I'm just going to draw up where I'm going to put each of the different colors. I have 4 colors, including the color the wood is as it is. And then I have 3 different stains to change it. I don't know how staining it's going to go, but we're going to run with it as if I could pull it off. Okay, so here are my stellar blueprints. It's going to make a ton of sense, I promise you. The 2 on here is going to be regular oak wood, untreated, unstained. The 3 is going to be the red-ish dye or stain that I have. And then the 1 here, those dark spots, is going to be the darkest stain that I have. Let's see if I can pull that off. Okay, so this is what I'm thinking right now. I got 4 different pieces of wood. I'm going to dedicate each of them to different colors. These 2 are going to stay as is for my oak wood. I'm going to streamline them down so they're each 2 inches thick. From there, if I want to go thinner or thicker, I can just by adding some together or taking some off. This here is going to be the red color one, and I will definitely make it thinner, but I just want to dedicate this quantity of wood to it. And then this quantity of wood is going to go to black. Obviously, when I put the pieces together based off the drawing, the thickest pieces I have on it are going to be untouched oak, unstained oak. The second biggest is going to be the red stain one, which is this one, and the actual color, if you're interested, is black cherry. And then the black or ebony colored one is going to be the thinnest piece. Actual measurements wise, we'll find out when I get there. I need a better spot to do this. Or, my thinker's working. I could just go on the other side. There's a lot more space over here. Yeah, no big deal. I thought this up all on my own. Is it dumb to pull it through once I get to the other side rather than continuing to push and having it flop? Is it dumb to pull it through the way I did? I feel like that made sense. Okay, so I decided on measurements. I would like the box to be about 12 inches long, not about, I will make it exactly 12 inches long and 9 inches wide. I'm doing this partly because I don't want to use up all the wood that I have. I'd like to practice on other projects as well. And there's a very high likelihood that this project's going to suck and not even turn out the way I want it to, fail, and I'll toss it in the fire. Who knows? I don't want to waste all the wood I have on it just yet. So we'll set the bar a little bit smaller, 12 inches long, 9 inches wide. Height, to be determined. We'll find out. All right, so here's the plan. I've got my 2 thick pieces broken up. I've got my 2 thin red pieces broken out. And then once this is cut in half, this will become the dark ebony piece. This totals to about 9.5 inches as it is right now. I am going to make the thin pieces a little thinner, but I'm going to keep the thick pieces basically as thick as they are. I got a whole bunch of extra pieces. I'm going to stain a ton of these just to make sure I do it right. I'll try different times with how much stain is on it. And then this is also probably where I'm going to be testing out the polyurethane and lacquer and seeing what the difference is. I imagine many of you will tell me in the comments below anyway what they do, but I may as well find out myself and see what it actually looks like. All right, let's start applying stain. So what I think I understand is that I will put on the stain and let it sit on there for a few minutes, and then I wipe it off. And then if I want it to be darker, I just do another layer, but you don't just kind of infinitely let it sit on there, I think. And then since I'm supposed to wipe it off, I imagine I don't want to use the same towel over and over, otherwise it might start to mix the colors, so I got paper towel. I'm hoping this makes sense. We'll find out. Let's start staining. I also don't know how much I'm supposed to use. This is really satisfying though. Now, is this garbage or can I reuse this thing? Can I rinse it off and then use it on a different color? Is that a bad idea? All right, so I figured while I'm waiting for that to absorb, I'm gonna open the red one and paint the other 2. Oh, fuck. Well, that is red. That's gonna be cool. Am I stained now? Unfortunate. All right, let's wipe off the black one. Well, I didn't do too much. Do I have to set all this? Do I have to let it sit longer? Or do I just paint another coat on and try again? I mean, I don't hate it, but I definitely want darker than that. Or am I using the wrong wood? All things I don't know. The red looks like it's soaking in really good. Again, I don't know what's going to happen once I wipe it off. Are there instructions on these containers? Let's try the red one. Oh goodness, that did a great job. Whoa, that is like red. I love that. That's sick. All right, well, that worked pretty dang good, if you ask me. Wow. Y'all seeing that? Does that look as red to you as it does to me? That's already wiped off. That's so cool. Look at that. All right, now that's what I was hoping for the black. Well, the red is awesome. The dark ebony here is not hitting. But the design I still want to do might work. So we're going to move forward. Okay, so maybe this is a patience issue for me again, but I would like to start cutting it so I can glue all the pieces together and then let that dry overnight so I can see it tomorrow. So I'm going to start cutting now. I'm hoping that this potentially still being wet is not going to be impacted by me cutting it. I guess we'll find out. So I decided to make a slight change just because I kind of like how it looks right now, and I feel like if I try to do more and go beyond what I'm capable of, I could ruin my progress, and I do think it looks pretty decent right here. So let me give you a show. Is that focusing? There we go. That's not too bad. Obviously the size difference compared to what I said earlier is definitely different, but I don't know. I've said this before. I don't know that I care. I think the next step would be gluing it together and then sanding down any of the extra glue that comes out. I'm going to try to be very... My fear is that I put too much glue on and then it comes out and then I try to scrape it off and it scrapes the stain off. I don't know if that's going to happen. I also don't know if before I do any sort of gluing, if I should put any polyurethane on to protect it or lacquer. I don't know. As of right now, I'm going to go with my next step being glue. We'll find out. Okay, that's day one. I got through staining, I got through gluing. Tomorrow we're gonna check in and see if the glue job held up after I let it sit all night, which I don't frequently do. Hopefully that makes a difference. See you tomorrow afternoon. All right, Joe, it's 2 days later, so this glue better be dried by now. In fact, I know it is. I came down yesterday to look at it, and I actually also cheated a little bit in that I sprayed some polyurethane on it already yesterday. What that does to this point, I still am not too sure. I just think that it's supposed to protect it a little bit and make it more sealed. Maybe now that the wood won't be as absorbent to liquids and whatever touching it. I guess I don't really know. I actually have a question for you guys on how I could have done this better. What I want is this to be more level. This red piece here is a little higher than this darker piece, and I'm wondering at what stage in the process should I or could I have sanded it to make sure that it was level? Or should I just have done a better job gluing it on a more level surface so that this piece didn't stand up a little bit higher? But I stained pieces first, then I glued them together, and then I sprayed on polyurethane. At what point in that process could I have sanded this to avoid this unlevel surface? Or is it still okay to sand it at this point? I don't want to touch it just in case it's not. Any feedback y'all could give me on that, I would genuinely really appreciate. Other than that, here's a plan for day number 2. I'm going to build the rest of the sides and the bottom for the box. First, I need to hone this down a little bit. I'm going to cut off the sides and just make sure it's perfectly straight on the sides. At least that part I can control. And then I'm going to glue all the pieces of wood together. For then tomorrow, I'm going to try that new type of cutting where I can basically cut it into puzzle pieces that interlace together to create the box. We'll see how this goes. No nails in this project. Well, the least amount possible. So for the most part, the only adjusting I want to do for our top piece here is just cut a nice straight strip across the top here and here just to make sure that it's level. That's what I'm going to do now. Now that's what I'm talking about. All right, so I just took some measurements because we did things a little more random than I intended earlier once I saw how the pieces were going to look. So we've got some weird numbers. We are 11.75 inches from here to here. and we are from here to here 13.4 inches, if I did that small measurement right. I think I did. All right, let's line up the rest of the pieces. So I think my next step is cutting basically every single piece I need to use to build the rest of the box, cutting them, and then starting the gluing process. I don't have all that many clamps, and the other ones I have are not that great. These are really good ones, and because they're this tall, I think I could get 3 rows of things glued at the same time, maybe. So my plan is to get 2 or 3 rows going at the same time, and then putting parchment paper in between them so they don't stick together, and then tightening it and seeing if I can get all 3 to glue at the same time. Is that a bad idea? Is parchment paper gonna end up sticking? It's supposed to be non-stick when it comes to cooking, so maybe it can be for glue too. I don't know. This is powerful glue, and maybe I'm gonna have to just sand it all off at that point. Or it'll work great. I'm gonna try it. Well, that's pretty much it for day 2. Just a whole lot of gluing done today. I cut a ton of pieces. I didn't feel like showing or recording any of that. But I cut a crap ton more pieces, hopefully measured things out right. We'll see how that goes. I know a lot of it is uneven intentionally. I feel like cutting it more even later. I feel like that'll do better. The biggest debacle I've had to deal with this time was getting everything to stay glued together. So I had to put a crossbar on this one because when I glued it, this part popped up. I held that down for a bit with an extra clamp, but then the same thing happened on this one, and I don't have any more clamps, so I decided to take it off this one and then put it on that one. So I'm hoping it stays, and here's the parchment paper in between, hoping that it's not going to glue to the parchment paper. I have no idea if this is going to work. If there's a better way to do this, again, please feel free to tell me. All right, that took a lot more effort than I thought it would. That's the end of day 2. All right, it is day number 3, and we are going to see if my glue job held up today, and if the parchment paper made the wood not stick together. Let's give it a go. That parchment paper matter really worked. Oh my God. And this stuff's holding together? Okay. Let's see if this one did it. All right, not bad, not bad. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Okay. We were 4 for 4. It is not the most even. I'll take my victories where I can. So I did get one new tool today, and it's this mini planing set. These boards are not level, and I was wondering if this would be the piece of equipment to use to make that level. I'll find out. All right, we got it. All right, that is not a fast process. That is gonna take a while, but it did do well. This is pretty damn smooth now. I'm content. I'm gonna do the other 3 pieces right now. That's probably gonna take a little while. I'm not gonna record that, so let's just cut to when I'm done. So we sanded the shit out of everything. It is about as smooth as I can get it. I started with the planer, and then once I got it mostly level, I switched to the sander to wear down some of the unfortunate divots I created. My next step in the process is going to be honing down the sides and cutting them to their actual size and shape. And then after that, I'm gonna start trying to cut out those puzzle-like locking parts. All right, let's do that. I think all of our cutting is done. This here is the front or back. That is that part. This would go over the top like this. This would go right here. And this would go right here. All right, so I can already see one part I want to fix. I did not compensate for the width of this, and I want the top to go over that, so it would fit more like that. So I need to take off some of the side here. A fairly significant amount. What would be the best way to do this? Let's make a straight line down from here. Here's what I think I can do. I need to take off 2 widths worth. So maybe if I push both on one side, that is now the depth. This feels smart. I think this might work. Something like that. Is there an easier way to do this? Potentially. Maybe that's all I need to do. Oh, I'll go on top. I need to take off that. All right, does this math add up? I think so. Let's go for it. Let's see if I made the right move. Theoretically, this should be the exact size of the box, assuming everything adds up. Moment of truth. Oh, fuck yeah, that worked real well. Nice. Okay, so earlier I know I said I wasn't going to use a nail gun, but oh, look, a bird. Well, look at that. I did a great job gluing it, didn't I? Man, this thing is really going to hold itself together, all because of how much glue I used. All right, next I'm going to take the angle grinder and grind down the top so it's about as flat and level as possible as I can get it so that this rests evenly. It was suggested by somebody that I wear a mask while doing this. Probably not a bad idea. I do like my lungs to function how they are. All right, well, it certainly is not perfect. I'm not sure if you can see it. Maybe I can zoom in a little bit here. I don't know how level I can make this, and I don't know how precise I want to get it. Again, my goal here is to get something that functions and then move on to the next project. Once I'm better at all this, maybe I'll start to make things more precise. For right now, I'm just going to use one of the door hinges that I did not use. I am trying to decide if I should have it on the outside of the box or the inside of the box. I need to mark. Ta-da! It opens and closes, but before I start to build the bottom, we're gonna do a little bit more grinding with the angle grinder to make things more even. So I totally thought I had the time lapse going because I just angle grinded all the sides to even it up, but I didn't, so let's just pretend that you saw that. Yeah, there's nothing I can really do, I don't think, rather than getting a different hinge, and maybe I will do that. But for right now, there's one glaring problem. no bottom to the box. So this is my plan. I have this large piece of wood for shelving that I no longer use, so I figure I could just place this on and trace it and get pretty much exactly what I need. I'm gonna make sure I go a little wider, that way I can just grind it down to make it even. But I'll do this, line it up, make my lines. Let's go try and cut this guy. Now, hopefully I don't decide that I needed that wood later. We're going to use it on the bottom. And again, it doesn't have to be perfect, it's just got to be close, because we're going to angle grinder a lot of it down. Ladies and gentlemen, I think we have a box. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you a box. Not only does it open, but it closes. Thank you very much. Hello? All right, so let's get some closing thoughts here. It's not too bad. It's certainly nothing to write home about, but it works. It opens and closes. The glue actually held together. I learned that I like to paste the glue on more flat with that paper towel. That way when you squeeze the paste together, it doesn't squirt out the sides. That makes a big difference. Still trying to figure out where I should have done the polyurethane in this process, or if there were different ways I could have stained it. I'm curious how I could have measured things out better to get the hinge to work better. Maybe I'm just not precise enough when it comes to these power tools with cutting, but none of my pieces were the exact length that I really needed them to be, so it did require some sanding down at the end. Other than that, this worked pretty good. I'd like some ideas of what I should build next, so please tell me. I've built a door, I've built 2 stools, and I've built this box. What do you think the next thing I should build is? Thanks for tuning in. Have a good day.